Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a case that honestly just keeps getting stranger the more you look at it.
It really does. We're looking at the unsolved 2016 murder of Missy Bevers in Midlothian, Texas.
And the core of this mystery, a thing everyone comes back to, is this absolutely bizarre surveillance footage. It's,
Yeah.
it's something else.
It really is. Our mission today is to kind of break down the key facts from the investigation, focusing heavily on that footage, because this looks like a targeted crime, but one staged really elaborately as something else entirely.
So let's set the scene. The victim was Missy Bevers, 45 years old, a mother of three, married. She ran these popular Camp Gladiator fitness boot camps.
Yeah, and she held them at the Creekside Church of Christ. That location is obviously central.
And the timing, April 18th, 2016. But the crucial detail, the one that changes everything, is the weather, right?
Exactly. There's a big thunderstorm the night before, so her usual 5 a.m. class, normally outside, got moved inside the church.
A last-minute change.
A last-minute change that fundamentally altered her routine that morning, and it seems put her directly in the path of the killer.
Okay, so that sets up this really eerie timeline before dawn. We know Missy entered the church around 4:18 a.m., presumably to get things set up for the class. That footage hasn't been released, though.
Right, but police confirmed that time. And critically, the person in the tactical gear, the suspect, was already inside the church by then.
Already there, waiting.
It seems so. The released footage shows the suspect inside earlier, around 4 a.m. And then tragically, it didn't take long for Missy to be found. Just after 5 a.m., a student arrives for the class.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, enters the church and finds Missy's body. Police arrived soon after, and she was pronounced dead at the scene.
And the cause of death points to just extreme violence.
Very much so. Multiple puncture wounds, head and chest.
Puncture wounds? Like, from what?
Well, police warrants mentioned the wounds were, and this is a quote, consistent with tools the suspect was carrying. They found a hammer near her body, along with some other tools.
A hammer. So the killer brought tools into the church.
Yes, brought tools and was carrying them while wandering the halls beforehand. It suggests they came prepared not just to kill, but maybe also prepared for that staging aspect we talked about.
Okay, this brings us squarely to the surveillance footage. The surveillance ghost, as some call it. This is where it gets really weird.
It's unforgettable, isn't it? The footage, taken around 4 a.m., shows the suspect inside the church. And they're dressed, well, head to toe in what looks like police tactical gear.
Like full SWAT gear.
Pretty much. Black helmet, black gloves, a vest that clearly says police on it, completely disguised.
But the actions don't match the outfit at all. What were they doing?
That's the bizarre part. They're seen just walking the halls, kind of slowly, methodically, but smashing glass on doors, trying to pry doors open. It looks like vandalism or a clumsy break-in attempt.
Which makes zero sense if you're dressed like you're raiding the place. Why smash a window if you look like you have the authority to be there?
It's a huge contradiction. And police believes Missy probably walked in on this person while she was carrying her workout gear in from her truck.
She just encountered them mid-act.
That's the theory. We don't have footage of the encounter itself. Apparently, the exterior cameras weren't working that day. So all we see is this figure in tactical gear wandering around, breaking things before the murder must have happened.
It feels like theater. Bad theater, maybe. The costume implies power, precision, but the actions are just clumsy destruction.
Precisely. And that clumsiness, or maybe perceived clumsiness, ties into the whole debate about who this person was. Their walk, specifically.
Yes, the gait. That famous walk.
Investigators initially assumed male, based on the bulky gear. But then they looked closer at how the person moved.
And it looked
Distinctive, very distinctive. They walked slowly, sometimes using the wall for balance. And there seemed to be a definite issue with their right foot or leg. It dragged, or they favored it somehow.
which led to speculation that maybe the suspect was female.
Exactly. That detail fueled theories for years, suggesting the gait looked more feminine, contradicting the initial assumption. You had everyone online becoming like armchair gait analysts.
Trying to figure out gender from a blurry video clip of someone walking strangely.
Right. But then, thankfully, real forensic science stepped in. In 2021, the FBI consulted Dr. Michael Nierenberg, who's a forensic podiatrist.
Okay, a foot specialist. What did he find? This seems really key.
It was key. Dr. Nierenberg looked at the biomechanics, how the person moved, and his conclusion basically undercut years of speculation.
It was.
He concluded that the strange walk, the slowness, the apparent leg issue, It was almost certainly caused by the weight and bulk of the tactical gear itself, the heavy boots, the vest, the helmet, whatever tools or weapons they were carrying.
So the gear made them walk like that.
Yes, it was so cumbersome it forced that specific, awkward gait. And crucially, Dr. Nierenberg stated you absolutely cannot determine the person's gender from that walk alone.
Wow. Okay, so the feminine walk theory might just be incorrect. It was just someone struggling under a lot of weight.
That's what the forensic poetry suggests.
Yeah.
The walk wasn't necessarily inherent to the person. It was a product of the heavy disguise they chose to wear.
That completely reframes how we see that footage. The disguise wasn't just hiding their face, it was actively affecting their movement, creating this misleading clue.
It really does. And it feeds back into the shift in understanding the motive. Initially, you see broken glass, forced doors. You think burglary gone wrong.
Makes sense at first glance.
But then you look at the facts. Missy's purse was there, her iPad. Nothing valuable was actually taken from the church or from her.
So if it wasn't a burglary, why stage it like one?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's why police sources now strongly lean towards the theory that Missy was specifically targeted.
Targeted, meaning someone wanted her dead, specifically.
Yes. And the break-in, the smashed glass, all that, it was likely staged, maybe clumsily, but intentionally, to make it look like a random crime, to throw off the initial investigation.
Okay, if she was targeted, that implies planning. Someone knew her schedule, knew she'd be there, maybe even knew about the location change due to the weather.
Which points towards digital footprints. Investigators looked hard at her phone and online activity. Warrants suggested the killer might have used a smartphone to track her schedule.
And maybe even record the crime.
That possibility was raised in the warrants, yes. A chilling thought.
Were there any leads online? Any threats or strange contacts?
There were reports, mentioned in search warrants, about creepy and strange messages she'd received on LinkedIn from an unknown man.
Okay. Did they find him?
They did track down at least one person who admitted to having, let's say, flirtatious online chats with her. But he insisted it was harmless, nothing sinister. That lead seems to have dried up, but it hinted she might have had interactions others didn't know about.
And of course, standard procedure, they had to look very closely at her family. Her husband, Brandon, and her father-in-law, Randy.
Right. But their alibis checked out pretty solidly. Brandon was confirmed to be on a fishing trip way out in Mississippi. Randy, the father-in-law, was traveling in California.
So they were cleared geographically, but then something else came up with the father-in-law, Randy Bevers, didn't it? Something odd.
Extremely odd, and initially incredibly suspicious. A warrant revealed that 4 days after Missy's murder, Randy took a shirt with bloodstains on it to a local dry cleaner.
4 days after? A bloody shirt. That sounds really bad.
It looks terrible on the surface, absolutely. You can imagine investigators zeroing in on that immediately. Why would you be dry cleaning a bloody shirt right after your daughter-in-law's violent murder?
Yeah, exactly. What was the explanation?
Well, this is where the case takes another bizarre turn. Randy's explanation was dogs.
Dogs.
He claimed the blood wasn't human. He said 2 dogs had gotten into a nasty fight on his property, and he got blood on his shirt breaking it up.
Okay.
Right.
That sounds convenient, maybe. Did they test it?
They did. Police collected the shirt from the dry cleaner, sent it for forensic analysis, and the results came back confirming his story.
It was actually dog blood.
It was actually dog blood.
Yeah.
So that specific, very suspicious circumstance ended up having a mundane, if slightly unusual, explanation. Cleared him on that front.
Wow. Dog blood. Just another strange detail in a case full of them. It really shows how circumstantial evidence can sometimes point entirely the wrong way.
It absolutely does.
No.
Which kind of brings us to another piece of evidence that feels disconnected, maybe, but police haven't ruled it out, the Nissan Altima.
Right. This was a separate vehicle sighting, wasn't it? Earlier in the morning.
Much earlier. Around 2 a.m., so a full 2 hours before the suspect in tactical gear was seen inside the church. Police issued an alert for this car, a silver or light-colored 2010 to 2012 Nissan Altima, possibly with an oval bumper sticker.
And it was seen near the church.
Yes, seen in the vicinity. But the really strange part was its behavior, captured on surveillance from a nearby sporting goods store, SWFA Outdoors.
What was the driver doing?
Acting very erratically. The footage shows the car circling the store's parking lot for a while. The driver was flashing the headlights on and off, seemingly at random. Then they parked in a dark, secluded spot for a few minutes before just driving away.
That is weird, just loitering and flashing lights at 2
Extremely weird. It wasn't like they were just pulling over quickly. It was prolonged, suspicious behavior.
So what's the potential connection? Could this driver have been involved, a lookout, or someone else entirely?
That's the big unknown. Was this person scouting the church hours before the murder? Were they waiting for someone? Or could it be completely unrelated?
Yeah.
Maybe someone involved in something else entirely, like drugs, or just someone lost or acting strangely for unrelated reasons.
But given the timing and location.
Exactly. Given the proximity to the church and the time frame, and knowing the level of planning that might have gone into the murder itself, police can't just dismiss it. But that driver and the car remain unidentified. It's another loose thread.
So many loose threads. It's incredible this case is still unsolved given that footage.
Well, the investigation is definitely still active. Midlothian PD says they still get tips regularly, and the reward money is significant now.
How much are we talking?
It's reached $150,000 as of 2021 anyway.
Yeah.
It's a huge incentive for someone to come forward if they know something.
And there are people still actively trying to keep the case in the public eye, too.
Yeah, there's a podcast, True Crime Broads, that actually maintains a billboard about the case and the reward, just trying to make sure people don't forget Missy Bevers.
So let's try to pull this all together. What are we left with? It's a uniquely baffling scenario.
It really is. You've got what looks like a targeted murder, but it's deliberately disguised as a random burglary gone wrong.
By a suspect wearing this completely over-the-top police tactical uniform.
A uniform that seems to have actually made them move more slowly and awkwardly inside the crime scene.
And the victim's schedule seems to have been tracked, possibly down to the hour, accounting for that last-minute change because of the weather.
Right, so you have this intense calculation on one hand, the tracking, the targeting, the disguise, but then you have the chaotic actions inside the smashing glass, the apparent difficulty moving. How do those two things reconcile?
Was the killer highly prepared but just bad at executing the break-in part of the plan? Or was the clumsiness itself part of the act?
That's the fundamental conflict investigators have to grapple with. Does the seeming incompetence in the video reflect the killer's actual state, maybe panicked or struggling with the gear, or was that awkwardness, that destruction, part of the staging?
Which leads us to that final thought, the one that really sticks with you. If this killer went to such elaborate lengths tracking the victim, choosing that specific, heavy, conspicuous uniform, what was the real purpose of the costume?
Was it just about hiding their identity? Or did the police vest, the tactical look, serve another function? Maybe meant to intimidate Missy specifically in her final moments.
Or perhaps it was a deeper psychological game, a way to completely mislead everyone about who they were, what they were capable of, or why they were even there. Maybe the disguise itself was the message.
It's a disturbing possibility. What did that uniform truly represent in the context of this murder? That's something for you to think about long after this deep dive ends.